It's easy to remember UB01 as a weird obsession of Lusamine's, and that's basically all it was. Similar can be said for its related cousins, where their only relevant appearance was during their attacks on the island Kahunas. So let's fix that. We need something that originated from the Ultra space, as well as something that is already a part of the narrative. The Pokemon which best represents this is Necrozma. Since it's able to open Ultra wormholes directly, it has the ability to summon Ultra Beast itself. We see this happen at the Altar of the Sun and Moon, but only way later into the game. But if Necrozma were introduced earlier, and we have it be so that each island has their own Ultra Beast appear alongside the trials, it would help bridge the gap that is currently missing between, well, basically most of this game's story. Okay, but now we have the problem that our level 10 Rowlet is tasked to protect Melee Island from Nihilego. While I have my full confidence that Rowlet, the Chad that he is, can hold his ground against them, the stat difference between Ultra Beasts and many of the early game Pokemon is quite a big concern. I'm also not about to force feed my partner a bunch of rare candies, so we ultimately need someone different. And there is actually one Pokemon which is made just for this role, Silvally. By looking at his stat total, we can see how it now matches the power of the Ultra Beasts. Silvally also has a weakened state known as Type No, so while these current stats are still higher than the average starter Pokemon, they could be adjusted to become more balanced, and then also slowly improve as we play more of the game. Now that being said, Nintendo most likely won't be too thrilled about the idea of forcing players to use a specific Pokemon against the Ultra Beasts, especially not when that Pokemon's considered to be a legendary. So as a better alternative, Silvally could also be used as a tool that assists you in the fights against them. What if he shows up to weaken an Ultra Beast before you as the player are tasked to finish them off? This option would make for a more ideal progression, where we might see Silvally slowly struggle to fend them off. As the game progresses, players would then have to fight more powerful Ultra Beasts without his assistance. Since Silvally's backstory was also left mostly buried in background files, these events could touch and improve upon his original design. Okay, so our story is starting to make more sense, but what we're lacking now is the incentive for players to learn more about the Ultra Beasts. Within Sun and Moon's sequels, many of their homeworlds were made explorable, however only after completing the main story. There's also the issue that the only real reason we had of going there was to catch the Ultra Beasts themselves. Since they currently appear alongside the island trials, what if we made it so that after defeating them, players are tasked to bring the Ultra Beasts back to their dimensions? Not only would this give us a reason for actually going there, but now players have a chance to learn about these worlds and, more importantly, the Ultra Beasts that reside here. By doing so, we even have the chance of making the Aether Foundation play a more prominent role within the narrative. That's not to say that their current version isn't prominent, it's just as of right now we only know of their Ultra Space research rather than having seen it firsthand. They could, for example, help us bring the Ultra Beasts back to their dimensions. Since they're also the founders of the Beast Ball, they might give us access to this invention earlier, potentially by showing us how to catch the Ultra Beasts. Now, obviously this current catching mechanic is the same as for any traditional Pokemon, but we might as well use this chance to make it something new. Maybe this catching interface has varying difficulties depending on your progress. At first, you might have to manually calibrate the Beast Ball, maybe by syncing its frequency to the Ultra Beast's energy pattern. Don't ask me exactly how that would be represented in the game, I just thought the idea was cool. As players work more alongside the Aether Foundation, they could obtain new modules that help them improve their catching rates. A small feature like this could even provide other rewards like stat boosting bottles or held items. This mechanic would give players a reason to explore the Ultra dimensions, but this alone won't make players want to stay within the currently very linear worlds. I mean, the Ultra Jungle, as cool as it is just a walkway between some trees. Some other dimensions had greater amounts to explore, most noticeably the Ultra Ruin, but most felt very narrow. By simply opening them up and making them less path-like, new environmental lore could be scattered throughout. Interactive parts within these worlds could give players the chance to better understand how the Ultra Beasts choose to live and interact with their surroundings. But opening up a dimension is only possible when there's one to begin with, which currently isn't the case for either Blacephalon or Stakataka. There are ideas on where they may have come from, but nothing has been confirmed by any official source. So before we continue, I'd love to know your ideas. Be sure to leave your thoughts on their potential names and designs in the comments. So now, players want to learn more about the Ultra Beasts, but that alone won't improve their shelf life. And by shelf life, I mean how long they will actually be remembered after the game is over. One common reason Pokemon become forgettable is due to their limited use in battle. Now, that's not always a problem. After all, we don't have competitive leagues centered around Magikarp and the legendary Splash-Off. But with the Ultra Beasts, it's not exactly that they're weak in battle. The real issue lies in how their strength is positioned compared to the rest of the Pokemon we encounter. They're not strong enough to carry you through the endgame, mainly because players choose to only use specific Ultra Beasts or switch to more powerful legendaries instead. But at the same time, they're also way too powerful to just replace your starter the moment you get them. So what we need is a way to make them scale properly. Ultra Beasts should feel usable in early game areas, while still holding their own in tougher late game environments. Their power levels should stay relatively balanced with one another, supported by a system that allows them to grow without breaking the game's difficulty curve. The most obvious solution might be to give them evolutionary lines, but that risks taking away what makes the Ultra Beasts feel so unique. Sure, Poipo and Naganado already follow this path, but since Poipo only needs Dragon Pulse to evolve, a move which it learns at level 1, most players won't hold onto it for very long. So instead, a better approach would be to give them form-based upgrades. These upgrades, whether biological enhancements or mechanical modifications, could let the Ultra Beasts unlock more of their hidden potential over time. The concept of upgrading a Pokemon is also rarely explored, which helps maintain the Ultra Beasts' reputation as abnormal. With this system in place, we can adjust their power to grow alongside the game's progression. For example, each Ultra Beast could start in a restricted state that suppresses their full power until further research or a key event unlock their upgrades. Maybe like a containment mask similar to what type No wears. Since these forms would have to involve futuristic technology, they could even connect the Ultra Recon Squad more directly to the plot. Right now, their main goal is stopping Necrozma. But what if they were also studying the Ultra Beasts? Maybe this research is done in hopes of turning them into weapons to counteract Necrozma's power. If we rework their role in the story by having them appear in missions alongside the Aether Foundation, it would make their involvement as well as their whole goal of stopping Necrozma become a more relevant issue. So it's clear that these elements would help improve the overall story. But since Pokemon Sun and Moon have already been out for quite some time now, is there really any hope that Nintendo would go back and improve anything at all? Well, I believe that if we were to return to a Alola Fur Legends game, Nintendo could have the opportunity to do just that. While Necrozma's story has already been explored to a fair extent, this time the focus could shift to the Ultra Beasts themselves. A plot centered around their origin, presence in the Ultra Space, and connection to Alola would allow the game to explore the narrative threads only hinted at in the original titles. So if the Ultra Beasts were to ever return as a part of the narrative, Nintendo should ensure that they finally give them the attention they've been waiting for. But that's how I would fix the Ultra Beasts. Let me know your ideas in the comments below.